Alright, in this tutorial we're going to cover how to do animations with our characters. So first of all, just like in dialogue, I'm going to go and open Unity. Right now I have open the Interaction Manager example, which is basically a sample scene that has the characters and timeline and everything else already configured. If you want to learn how to configure this yourself, feel free to look at the tutorial link below. But otherwise, let's assume that everything is set and ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an animation event. So I'm going to go to timeline, which right now it's empty. And then instead of dialogue, like what we did the previous tutorial, I'm going to go to animation and add event. With this, I see an animation event, and make sure you don't rename this event for any reason, otherwise the timeline won't work. Now, just as in dialogue, the event ID starts at 0 and it's just an index. And the agent is set to Taima, which is basically our character, but you can change it to other characters if you have them configured, or in timeline you can change it here so that every further events that you add are set with the character that you want them to. Now, also very similar to what we did with dialogue, in this case we call animations by name. So basically I'm going to put here what animation I need. Remember that everything has tooltips, so I can see that the name is mandatory, otherwise it won't know what animation to play. And you can see also tips for all the other features, which I'm going to go through in a second. Now, to choose the animation name, I'm going to go down here to Resources and then Animations. If you don't have this folder structure in your scene, you have to make a Resources folder and an Animations folder, and you can see them. And you can see I have all my animations right here. Now, this requires a bit of knowledge on how Mechanim works and how animations in Unity work. If you want to learn more about animations in Unity and Mechanim, you can check the Unity tutorials linked below for future reference. But for now, let's go to our character. So our character has an animator already set, and it has an animation controller. Now this animation controller is this one that I have right here. I created it for this character. I'm going to switch it so we can see what it contains. Right? So basically there are a couple of key things that we configured for the animator or the animation controller. The first one is we have a variable here, integer variable called path index, and it's set to -1. You need this. And basically we have an idle state. There's just one animation that should be named idle, and it should be set to this state right here, the orange one. For everything else, let's say I want to do telling a secret animation. So you can see that this list of animations, it's basically this list that I have right here, and in this same order. So you start in idle here, and then talk sad, talking 1, talking 2. It's basically alphabetical order. You need to make sure that these animations are in this order, and likewise here. And the arrows that separate the events, everything that goes back to idle goes back with this condition right here, which is a -1. Path index equals -1. Everything that goes to the state, well, we start at 0, and then the next animation starts at 1, and so on and so forth. This is so that the system automatically indexes them and we can access them. Now let's go back to the animation tag. So for now I'm going to do telling a secret. So I'm just going to type it right here. And let's see what telling a secret is. So if I choose telling a secret, I can preview it here. I can zoom in a little. This is configured with the default Unity avatar. You can drag and drop your own character to see it with your characters. So this is what we will be looking at. So back to animation. The first thing we can do is a loop. Loops are useful for things like walking, running, or anything that keeps going on and on and on. Telling a secret, it's not the case. Now, keep in mind that if you want to loop the animation here, if you want to enable it to loop, let's say I'm doing this with telling a secret, then you need to make sure that within your animation and the animations tab right here, that loop time is available, it's enabled. Alright, we would do it like this, but telling a secret, it's not something that I'm interested in looping for the time being. I'm just going to click apply. It's not going to do anything because I didn't change anything. So now you have two additional options. One is timeout, the other one is delay. So timeout is, let's say you have a walking or running or some looping animation that for any reason you want to interrupt halfway through. This is the number of seconds after the animation starts playing that you're going to cut the animation short. Now, don't worry if your animation is properly connected to idle. It's not just going to stop in its tracks and freeze in the last frame. It's just going to transition from wherever you are up to idle. To make sure that this is enabled, you need to check these arrows going back to idle and make sure that they don't have the has exit time flag checked. If they do have it checked and you do that, the animation will finish playing before it transitions, so timeout won't work. Delayed works similarly, just the other way around. When you set up a delay value, this is the number of seconds that it's going to take the animation to start playing after you call it. Now, why would you want to delay an animation, right? Or shouldn't you just put the animate event when you need it? Well, the reason is if you want an animation to play, or several animations to play within the same dialogue, I can go here, add a dialogue. Just for the time being, I'm going to add the same one that we added in the previous tutorial. So if I want 2 or 3 animations to play in this dialogue, let's say that each animation is 1 second long and this dialogue it's 5 seconds long. Well, I have to call all 3 animations before the dialogue starts, because there's no way I can split this dialogue in the middle and tell it when to run whatever animation I want. So in this case, I would put the animation, delay it, put another animation, delay it for a little longer, put another animation, delay it for a little longer, and then we could play 3 animations within the same dialogue. Now finally, the to idle box basically means, in this case it's not a problem because all the animations transition to idle. You can see that there's no way for me to move from here to here or from here to here. If I want to do that, I have to go from here to idle and then from idle to the next animation. Now, you might have more complex trees where you have another state here and another state here. And so to idle, the only thing it does is it enforces going back to this state before you can move into the next one. So that's pretty much it. So I'm just gonna go back to my scene and play it, and
let me guess. You're here on behalf of the council.
so she's playing the telling a secret animation and playing this dialogue afterwards. And if we look into the animator view, we can just see how it starts in idle. It moves to telling a secret,
Let
which is
me
what
guess.
we told her to do.
You're here on behalf of the council.
And then when it's done, it's just gonna go back to idle. Alright, and that's it for animations.